Chick chick.
Hey Nick, would you unmute the guitar channel? Hit the mute button. Hey everybody, come on in, find a seat. We're going to get started. We're going to start with an old protest song from the 60s that is still unfortunately and strangely relevant. It goes like this. There's something happening here. What it is ain't exactly clear. There's a man with a gun over there telling me I've got to beware. I think it's time we stop. Children, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Battle lines being drawn. Nobody's right if everybody's wrong. Young people speaking their minds, getting so much resistance from behind. Think it's time we stop. Children, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Stop. Hey, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. What a field day for the heat. 10,000 people in the streets, singing songs and carrying signs. They mostly say hooray for our side. Think it's time we stop. Children, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Stop. Hey, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Stop. Hey, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. And this one hits a little too close to home, this line right here. Maybe you know someone you've lost to the QAnon world. This goes like this. Paranoia strikes deep into your life, it will creep. It starts when you're always afraid. Step out of line, the man come and take you away. I think it's time we stop. Children, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Stop. Hey, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Stop. Hey, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Stop. Children, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Stop. Hey, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down.
Hey, y'all. Good to see you. Now, I'll tell you what. We have certain little events all around this country since 2018. Now, in fact, the last time we were here in this room was one of our greatest events of all time for Vote Common Good. So those of you that were here, thank you. And Katie Porter, thank you for being back for this. But I got to tell you, part of the reason, not only am I encouraged to be here, because jumpstarting events like this all around the country has been so much fun, but to tell you the truth, we wish we weren't here. We wish we didn't have to be here. We wish that the regular system of democracy was something that could take care of this current situation. But we all know that we've got to dig a little deeper this time. We all know that there's more going on in our country right now, and there's more threats to our democracy. Now, when we were here in 2018, we didn't have to travel with a sign in a bus that said confronting Christian nationalism. And we didn't have to travel with signs that said resisting insurrections. But we have had movements since 2018. Some of that have been beautiful, electing the right people to Congress to make sure that we get this country on the right track. And we have had some movements that have struck at a deepness of our soul. And we've all been hearing things that don't sit so well with our soul. We've been hearing presidents and former presidents of the United States say things about the people of this country, say things about their opponents in this country, say things about people who want to be a part of this country, like they're eating your dogs and your cats. It's full of nonsense. So we've decided that we're going to stay on the road as long as we need to be sure that faith, hope, and love isn't taken over by only one political party, friends. And that's what we're doing here, because we could spend all day reminding us how off track the Republican Party has become. I could stand here all night rehearsing to you, as I've done to my poor wife for a number of years, what's wrong with Donald Trump. I could tell you about the things he says about people and the way he behaves and the chaos that he brought to this country. But look, we know good people like you don't need us to explain that to you. That man is like a self-cleaning oven. He does all the work for you. So we all know that Donald Trump is who Donald Trump is. And the question is not, who is he? And frankly, the question is not, who will the Republicans give into? The question is, how good are you? So Vote Common Good is glad to be here with you, and we're glad to be here with David Min, and we're glad to be here with Katie Porter. And the reason we're traveling around this country is because we know there's people of common goodness. Now, I will tell you, I have not always been a Democrat, and I'm not even asking everyone to vote for Democrats all the time. That's not the only thing we're out doing. I voted for George Bush twice, and for some of you, I know that means you're going to get up and walk out of the room right now, and you'll never trust me again. I understand, that's right. Never miss a chance for a good walkout. I understand that. People change. People go through changes. The Republican Party can change. It certainly has shown us that it can change, hasn't it? And it's a shocking thing to me to travel the country and stand in front of Republicans and have to say, I am not being partisan. I am asking you to be like Mike Pence and do not support that man for president ever again. That's a shocking thing. So we're not trying to be partisan. We're trying to be about the common good. And you know what we know in our work? We know that there's a whole lot of people who've been told one story in their whole life. That if you believe in faith, if you believe in hope, and if you believe in love, they're told, then you only have one choice on Election Day. We're here to remind people that's never been true. You have choices you can make. You can be a good person and vote for a Republican. You can be a good person of faith and vote for a Democrat. We're not going to allow Republicans to tell good people of good conscience and good faith that they only have one choice. And I promise you that goes on. We travel in that bus out there that some of you saw when you came in, Faith, Hope, and Love, Supporting Democracy for All. We have the Faith, Hope, and Love signs here, and we'll put them out with yard signs of candidates, as we'll do tonight for David Min. We were doing this in Hudson, Wisconsin, for a candidate running in Wisconsin. And a man was walking by, and he saw what we were doing outside with all the bus and the flags and all, and he came up and he said, I'm so confused. How can you say that and then support that candidate? The reason we put faith, hope, and love and support that candidate is to remind people that nobody owns this faith. Nobody owns this hope. Nobody owns this love. It belongs to all of us. Vote Common Good is not interested in electing Christian candidates. We are interested in having Christian people know that the common good can be their voting criteria, that they can use something other than only political parties as their guide. Now, I had the good fortune to try to run for the state legislature in the state of Minnesota, where I'm from. Some of you have recently heard of Minnesota because the governor of Minnesota has become famous, and you've said, that's not Montana, that's not Missouri, that's not Michigan. Nope, it's Minnesota, hometown. It's good to see the hometown governor doing what the hometown governor is doing. I had the privilege of running for office in 2010. I didn't even win the nomination to the party. Another person won the nomination. At the time, I was saying I'm kind of like Hillary Clinton. But it was in that short run in 2010 when, for one short period of time in my life, was there one candidate who I agreed with on absolutely everything. And that was me when I was running. The problem is that now, as a person, I wouldn't agree with that candidate, Doug Padgett, that was running for office in 2010. So the point is, we change. People change. And we should invite people to change. So we hope you come tonight. If you've already thought about who you're going to vote for, then stick with it. But if you're wondering if you should vote for David Mann, you're wondering if you should listen to Katie Porter's advice, you're wondering if you should vote for Kamala Harris or for Donald J. Trump, we want to invite you to consider that deeply on who you're voting for. And know that there's people of common good faith, common good hope, and common good love that will join you if you decide you want to vote for a Democrat in this election. And we'll tell you that if you want to vote for a Republican, there's nothing you can do to outrun the love of God, and you're going to be as loved by God today as you would the day after Election Day. It's not about God loving you. It's about what choice do you want to make for this country. So we hope you're willing to make that choice and vote for someone that you know feels good in your conscience and your soul. And if it runs against your values, nobody comes between you and your ballot. When you stand in that ballot box, it's you and your ballot. You get to vote for whoever you want to. You'd be surprised how many people look at us with tears in their eyes saying, thank you for saying that. Not enough people say that because they've been told there's only some people they can vote for. Now, I said in 2018, we drove up to this church and we met a candidate that none of us had ever heard of in Katie Porter, and we fell in love with Katie Porter that night, and we're so excited that Katie Porter is here. Katie, thank you for being here. Thank you for putting on a new Vote Common Good hat, Katie, because you were somebody who wore that Common Good hat in 2018 and was good enough to even wear it out surfing with her kids. So thank you, Katie, for being a part of that. And Katie, would you mind coming up and telling us how you're thinking about this election and what you think is going on? You got yourself your own mic right there. Katie Porter, thank you so much. And that's because I stepped on the applause line. Thank you, Katie.
Of course. Okay. Everyone can hear me? Okay. I wanted to start by telling a story about being in this very room 6 years ago, almost exactly. It was maybe a little bit closer to the election. And at that point, I was just on high alert, like, am I going to get yelled at? Am I going to get a vote? Can I win? Is there a Republican tracker? What am I doing wrong? And my staff sent me to this event for a group I'd never heard of. They hadn't heard of it either, but I guess they needed to send me somewhere on a Sunday night. And so I didn't know. I just was sitting there, just like Dave's sitting there, and Doug got up. There was some music. I enjoyed it. Doug got up, and he said, as a Christian, Doug says, I believe that the light of God shines in every person. I thought, wow, that's really warm. And he said, and I believe that the light of God shines in Representative Mimi Walters, who I was running against. And I thought, oh, not to take his name in vain, but where am I? Where is this going? And I started to sweat. And then Doug said, and we're here to help Mimi take her light and shine it somewhere other than Congress. And I have never obviously forgotten that story, but I think it also tells us a very important story about how we think about our opponent in a political system, right? That we have to continue to respect and love and try to find humanity, even when, maybe even more so when it's really, really hard, when we're in the heat of a battle, when we get scared about the election results. In these last few weeks, the rhetoric goes up, the fear goes up, and it can be harder and harder to reach for that common good. And that's one of the reasons that I encourage people to go out and canvass and to talk to voters themselves, because I think you have to find that to have successful conversations with people. You have to find that common good to be able to have conversations. Now, I don't talk about my faith a lot in Congress, but recently I was accused of being a bad Christian. And that I hate, because I hate Christmas. And this happened on the House floor, where Representative Lauren Boebert said that I hate Christmas. Now, I had my daughter with me, who was 12, she's 12, and she said later, I want to go talk to that lady, because that was not very demure. That was not very mindful. That was not coquette. And she wanted to go, this is what this generation's all about. And she said, I want to go talk to that woman. Now, what caused this was that I was arguing the opposite position of Lauren Boebert, which is actually each of our jobs. And I was arguing that cutting down trees for the purpose of being Christmas trees is not forest restoration. And somehow this was transformed into I hate Christmas, subtext, I am not a Christian, or I am not the right kind of Christian, or I am not a person of faith, and that is all tied up in my being a Democrat, right? And wanting to somehow protect our planet. I mean, this line is one that they draw again and again and again. And I think one of the things that I love about Vote Common Good is that they encourage us, whatever our faith or beliefs might be as candidates, to lean into that in thinking about why we're doing this and what we want to accomplish. And so one of my favorite things about Vote Common Good that I want you all to know, and why I hope that you will continue to come to these events, talk about them, bring people, support them, is that one of the things you might not see, you see the bus, you see events like this. What you don't see is that every month or so, I get an email from Rob that is sort of spiritual food for me as a candidate, talking about things like what to do when people are hateful to you, how to deal with self-doubt, what to do when you start to have a crisis of faith, which happens to elected officials and happens to politicians, and that sort of broadly non-denominational, not even necessarily Christian pastoral care combined with candidate training that teaches us that nobody owns God. Nobody owns the connection between God and how we live our politics and the political choices that we make. And so I want you to know you don't see that, but I have felt it and been surrounded by it and been have that wrapped around me, and it has meant a lot in sustaining me on this journey. And I know that it will do the same thing for Dave. So let me turn to Dave and just say, and this will be the shortest endorsement speech you ever hear. Many at this point, probably 1,000 people have asked me, why do you support Dave Mint? Because he's doing a good job. And they're like, that's it? And I thought, how have we gone so far from what this is about, that saying that someone is doing a great job is fighting to protect our planet, which is, for me, in my faith, a blessing from God, right? Is fighting to make sure that we're safe in our places of worship, which should be important to every person, regardless of their particular faith, or even if they have no faith, that they respect the freedom of religion. Dave is a champion on those issues, on gun violence prevention, on environmental protection. And so the simple reason that we should support Dave is he has a vision that I share, that I think everyone in the 47th district, if they can grapple past all of the noise and what they're being told and what they've been told, to find what they really believe about the kind of community, the kind of county, the kind of state, the kind of country we have, it's a vision of the common good. And that is why I'm here supporting Dave Mint. So thank you very, very much.
So great. I'll tell you what, one of the things that has given me hope and just inspired me over the last few years is seeing Representative Katie Porter with a whiteboard speaking truth to power in Congress. I don't know if that gets anybody else fired up. But I wanted to tell you just a quick story about how I went from being a pastor to being on a bus that says confronting Christian nationalism. I grew up in the church, and I remember this moment of clarity for me when I realized the church and the state were a little too cozy. I was in a church like this, and there was this 40-foot stained glass cross in the front of the sanctuary. And on the 4th of July, we raised this 40-foot American flag that obscured the cross. And the symbolism for me was just a little too strong. And that's when I slowly began to learn the term Christian nationalism. And I learned that Christian nationalism isn't about Jesus, it's about political power. And so when 81% of white evangelicals voted for a man that looked nothing like Jesus, Donald Trump, I knew I had to speak out, and so I wrote this song, and it's a bit of my story, and maybe it's a bit of your story too. It goes like this. I grew up in your churches, Sunday morning and evening service. I knelt in tears at the foot of the rugged cross. You taught me every life is sacred, feed the hungry and clothe the naked. I learned from you the highest law is love. And I believed you when you said that I should trust the words in red to guide my steps through a wicked world. I assumed you'd do the same, so imagine my dismay when I watched you lead the sheep straight to the wolves. You said to love the lost, well, I'm loving you now. You said to speak the truth, I'm calling you out. Why don't you live the words that you put in my mouth? May love overcome and justice roll down. Oh, they started putting kids in cages, ripping mothers from their babies, and I looked to you to speak on their behalf. Oh, but all I heard was silence, or worse, you justified it, singing glory, hallelujah, raise the flag. See, your fear had turned to hatred, but you baptized it with language torn from the pages of the good book. You weaponized religion, and you wonder why I'm leaving to find Jesus on the wrong side of your walls. And you said to love the lost, well, I'm loving you now. You said to speak the truth, I'm calling you out. Why don't you live the words that you put in my mouth? May love overcome and justice roll down. Come home, come home. You're better than this. Oh, you taught me better than this. Come home, come home. You're better than this. I used to think you were better than this. Come home, come home. Oh, maybe I was too naive, or I just didn't want to see that there's always been a little poison in the well. Our churches sit on stolen land, a nation built by stolen hands, and we use the Bible to justify it all. Yeah, from slavery and segregation to mass deportation. This is who we are, but not who we have to be. There's a lot of work to do to pull up the evil by the roots, but repentance has to come before there's peace. You said to love the lost, I'm trying to love you now. You said to speak the truth, That's why I'm calling you out. Why don't you live the words that you put in my mouth? May love overcome, and justice roll down. 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 Thank you so much. Yeah, so I wrote that song, and I connected with Doug and Vote Common Good. Doug said, hey, you want to sing that song on the road with us? And I said, yeah, sure. I actually just got fired from my church for that song, so I've got a lot of free time on my hands. And I've been on the bus ever since. And on that bus, you get to meet some great people. And one of them is Nick Brock. He's going to tell you about what's going on in West Michigan, where we're fighting a specific brand of Christian nationalism there. So give my friend Nick Brock a hand.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Dan. Has that been the first standing ovation that you've had for the song? That was really great. I met Dan in Vote Common Good in 2019, and the first time I heard that song, it was in a room full of people. And I was just leaning up against the bar. I didn't really know anybody there. I was all by myself. And once Dan hit that crescendo, right, it just really kind of pulled at the heartstrings. So I ended up crying. I mean, I'm looking around saying, I'm not crying as I'm wiping down my tears. So if you need to take a minute to wipe any tears, I totally understand that. So I just want to share with you a little piece here. It's called To Support and Defend the Constitution, So Help Me God. So on 9/11, Al-Qaeda hijacked 4 commercial airplanes and deliberately crashed 2 of the planes into the north and south towers of the World Trade Center. The crashes created a massive fireball, leaving a thick gray plume of smoke over New York City. The Twin Towers collapsed and people ran outside chaotically, running in fear for their lives. The 3rd plane was crashed into the side of the Pentagon and created a wide and burning gash. And after learning about the other attacks, passengers on the 4th plane, Flight 93, bravely fought back, and the plane was crashed into an empty field in western Pennsylvania, only 20 minutes from Washington, D.C. The 9/11 attacks killed 2,977 people and would become the deadliest terrorist attack from a foreign adversary on U.S. soil. I remember hearing the news at work that morning and later that evening, after arriving home later that afternoon and watching the news on TV. The mass devastation, chaos, and confusion, loss resembled a war zone and overwhelmed me with such grief and sorrow that I wept uncontrollably while beating the air with my fists. It indeed was a day I would never forget, not only because of those emotions, but also because of this, a growing sense and obligation to service to country and a widening sense of love for country. Because of 9/11, I would enlist in the military. So months later, standing in a room with a handful of young men and women, I prepared to take the military's oath of enlistment. A sergeant called us to attention, directed us to raise our right hand and to repeat after him. I, Nick Brock, do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, that I will obey the orders of the President of the United States and the orders of the officers appointed over me according to the regulations of the Uniform Code of Military Justice, so help me God. It was at that moment that I had committed my whole self, my whole being, to protect and defend not a particular branch of service, not the flag, not the country, and not even the President of the United States, but rather to the Constitution, which symbolized all of these things. I was now a part of something much larger than just myself. Indeed, so help me God. I would serve under this oath for 10 years in the United States Air Force and afterward be honorably discharged. But 6 years after that, I would be reminded of the solemnity of my oath on January 6, 2021. On January 6, former President Trump summoned a violent mob to the U.S. Capitol in support of his fabricated charge that the presidential election had been stolen from him. 2,500 people overran police barricades, beat, tased, and bloodied police officers, smashed through windows and doors, and ran through the Congress threatening to hang Mike Pence, execute the Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, and do God knows what else to other office holders. 114 law enforcement officers were injured, and 6 people died as a result of the attack. The insurrection of January 6 was an unprecedented domestic terror attack on U.S. soil. Full stop. I remember sitting at my dining room table watching the scene unfold on my laptop, and later standing up to pace the living room with overwhelming grief and anger streaming down my cheeks. My visceral reaction was reminiscent of 9/11, as I recalled a simple phrase: I do solemnly swear to support and defend the Constitution of the United States. January 6 would be another day to never forget, and not just because the seat of our democracy was desecrated, but because of this simple but yet breathtaking fact. President Trump and I, both worlds apart from each other in every sense of the word, had one thing in common. One, we both swore to defend and support the Constitution. Yet I was the one who had bore true faith and allegiance to the same by leaving my post with honor. You see, Trump attempted to overturn the results of the election in order to seize power illegally and remain in office. And when the violent mob he had summoned mobilized and laid siege to our Capitol, he watched television for more than 3 hours and refused to do anything about it. He violated the oath he swore to the Constitution and brought dishonor to countless veterans who shed their blood or lost their life in service of that very cause. Friends, we must choose in this election to honor the brave men and women throughout our history who have shed blood in that cause of American freedom and democracy. This is our obligation, we the people. The first 3 words of the original handwritten and signed Constitution make this obligation clear. declaring from the outset, "We the people," with oversized and large black lettering that looms over all the rest. In the same way, we must continue to place an oversized and emboldened obligation to safeguard American democracy by voting for political leaders that will do the same. In order to form a more perfect union, we, the people, depend on the goodwill of our leaders and their dedication and duty to support and ensure the survival of our republic. This is the cause of our time. So I ask you, friends, will you stand with me? And will you vote to support and defend the Constitution of the United States? Will you stand with me and will you vote with me to ensure the survival of our republic? And will you support democracy for all? For all, with your faith and with all of your hope and with all of your love. And will you do that today through Election Day? My name is Nick Brock. I am a United States Air Force veteran, and I solemnly swear that I will continue to support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same. So help me God.
I can't sing that one, the song I'm supposed to sing from the piano. So I've been working up walk in, walk on, walk off music for everybody ever since the Democratic National Convention, and I thought, well, that's pretty cool. People doing all that. So I thought Nick deserved Darth Vader. I don't know why. Dang it, Dan! Did you take my pick again? Yeah, he says he's been saving it for me. That's a nice way to put it. Yeah. Well, my name's Joel. I'm really excited to be here. Thank you, Katie, for sharing. Thank you, Nick. That was powerful. I jumped on the bus about a month ago, and we're serious when we say we want to take you with us. That's what happened to me. I was just hanging out in North Carolina, minding my own business, and Doug walked up and said, "Hey, you sing. You want to come out with us and convince religious people not to vote for Trump?" I was like, "That's great. I've been wanting to do something like that, and not just play karaoke bars or whatever." So I wrote this song just a few days ago, and we have a big bus out there. It says "Faith, Hope, and Love," which is a reference to the end of 1 Corinthians 13, one of the most famous passages in Scripture. I can speak with the tongues of men and of angels, and if I don't have love, I'm just a sounding gong and a clanging cymbal. Love bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Love never fails. And he says at the very end, now there are these three things, faith, hope, and love, and the greatest of these is love. So I haven't really played this for anybody really before, so I want to kind of teach it to y'all so we can do a little crowd. I'm a church worship guy, so in church it's a whole thing where you're supposed to sing together, So I'm going to try to, since we're in a church, you guys can be my choir, okay? Okay, so here's how it goes. The chorus, the hook is this. If we're going to go down, let's go down together. It's pretty easy, right? So when it says down, we actually go up, okay? So if we're gonna go down, let's go down together. There it goes. And then we'll repeat it. If we want to go down, or not if we want to go down. If it's gonna go down, let's go down in history. All right? So let's try that one more time. If we're going to go down, let's go down together. If we're going to go down, let's go down in history, all right? 1, 2, 3. If we're going to go down, let's go down together. If it's going to go down, let's go down in history. Because nothing in this world lasts forever. Nothing in this world lasts forever. But faith, hope, and love. Faith, hope, and love win every time. Got it? All right, that's the whole chorus. Pretty easy. Well, you know, money and power ain't all they're cracked up to be. And despair is a self-fulfilling prophecy. Well, you know, faith, hope, and love make the world go around. And nothing else matters when it's all said and done. If we're gonna go down, let's go down together. If we're gonna go down, let's go down in history. 'Cause nothing lasts forever. 'Cause nothing in this world lasts forever. But faith, hope, and love. Faith, hope, and love win every time. Win every time. Well, friends, I know we're facing up some real bad storm. There's a hurricane coming knocking at our doors. Get out your sandbags and your boats, ain't time for waiting around. As for me and my house, ain't gonna stay home and drown. If we're gonna go down, let's go down together. If we're gonna go down, let's go down in history. 'Cause nothing in this world lasts forever. But faith, hope, and love. Faith, hope, and love win every time. All we have is today. All we have is right now. All we've ever had is our feet on this ground. So take a deep breath, take a hand and never let go. Hold on and never let go. Take a hand next to you and never let go. And let's sing it. If we're gonna go down, let's go down together. If we're gonna go down, let's go down in history. 'Cause nothing in this world lasts forever. But faith, hope, and love. Faith, hope, and love. If we're gonna go down, let's go down together. If we're gonna go down, let's go down in history. 'Cause nothing in this world lasts forever. But faith, hope, and love. Faith, hope, and love win every time. Not too bad for the first time ever, huh? We just made history, everybody. And Rob, I don't have a, oh wait, you know what I do?
Very good. Thank you, Joel.
That's where you're from,
Joel
right?
Herbert, everybody.
One of those A states?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something like that. My name is Rob Ryerson. I'm a pastor from Arkansas.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, not Alabama. Close enough. It's close enough. I've had the chance since 2018 to travel all over this country on the Vote Common Good bus. And for those of you that maybe were here in 2018 and you're wondering, no, it's not the same bus. We got a new one. Some of you have asked that question. Oh, yeah. I've had the chance to travel all over the country, and I'll tell you, one consistent thing lately people have been asking, and there's kind of been this sense, And I wanted to come and encourage you with this tonight. The way you are feeling right now, the excitement, the enthusiasm, the little nervous, more than just a little nervous maybe, but that renewed sense of like, okay, something might be happening here. People all over the country feel that exact same way. In fact, it reminds me a little bit of a story. It's a story that's told in a movie. The movie is Monsters, Inc. Do you remember that one? Monsters, Inc., there's this corporation that employs monsters to scare the kids because their screams fuel their power plant. The fear is the fuel. But there's one monster that doesn't like to scare the kids. He likes to make them laugh. And they discover, near the end of the story, that when Sully makes little girl laugh, it produces far more power than the screams ever did. Joy is more powerful than fear. Our politics has been dominated by fear for far too long. And I say our politics because I'm not just talking about Republicans and their messaging. I think that's true for those of us who might identify as Democrats too. There's been a whole lot of fear, a whole lot of what if, a whole lot of angst. And so I want to come to you tonight and say, listen, there is this joy, this powerful joy, this optimism, this hope that is breaking out, not just here in Southern California, but it's in Arizona, and it's in Georgia, and it's in Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania, and all over the country, because we've had the chance to go and see it. And I just want to come to you tonight and say, kind of in the words of Jesus, let not your hearts be troubled. Good things are happening. I also want to encourage you tonight by telling you that people can change. And if you're like me, you probably have family members, you probably have friends. I was sitting Friday night in a circle with a group of men at a friend's birthday gathering and listening to this group of guys talk, and I was just sitting there thinking, oh my goodness, these guys have so far to go. Maybe you have folks in your life that you feel that way of like, I can't believe they believe this. I can't believe they're going to vote the way they're going to vote. I can't believe they support the people they support. Like, what in the world? And you just have this sense of like, it feels hopeless sometimes in conversation with often the people we love the most. But people change. And I know this because I certainly have changed. Growing up, I was like to paraphrase the Apostle Paul, who called himself a Pharisee of the Pharisees. I was a Republican of the Republicans. Like, how Republican were you? I'm about to tell you. Like, I was a caller to the Rush Limbaugh show and got on the air 5 times. I had pictures on my wall when I was a teenager of Al D'Amato, who was a senator from New York, Bob Dole, and then there was this unknown freshman congressman from Georgia that very few people had ever heard of. His name was Newt Gingrich. Had his picture on my wall. I was a subscriber to 2 magazines when I was a teenager. One was Sports Illustrated, and the other was National Review, which was William F. Buckley's magazine. I went to teenage Republican school as summer camp when I was in high school. Basically, what I'm telling you is I was super cool when I was. But I grew up a conservative, Republican, Christian nationalist. And through a whole series of events and things that have taken place in my life, I now find myself traveling around the country, encouraging good people of faith to reject Donald Trump and to elect good folks like Dave Min to Congress. People change. And you know why people change? People change because other people love them. I have a friend who says truth travels best on the road of relationships. Paul said in the book of Romans that it is God's kindness that leads us to repentance. It's not judgment. It's not anger. It's not shame. It's not an argument. It's not, the best comeback on the Facebook post, to that. None of those things are going to bring about the change that we want. It happens through consistent love over time. And I want to give you a little tool you could say to someone, because there are people like I was who are in the midst of a political identity crisis. And they are thinking in their heads, and maybe haven't even admitted it out loud, they're considering doing something they never dreamed they would do. They're considering voting for a Democrat. And we believe at Vote Common Good that behavioral change happens before identity change happens. It's much easier to get somebody to change their behavior before you get them to change their identity. And, the political party that you're a part of, that's an identity thing. But that's tough to get somebody. Listen, I'm a Cleveland Browns fan. They haven't, driven me away yet. Because identity change is hard to make happen, even when you're as terrible as they are. But behavioral change, that's something. So here's something you could say. You could say to somebody, listen, I'm not asking you to become a Democrat. I'm asking you to vote for Kamala Harris in this election. Or you say this, listen, I'm not asking you to become a Democrat. I'm asking you to vote for Dave Min in this election. That permission structure to do something different for that person who's in the midst of that political identity crisis, it could be the very thing that begins. It could be the first domino to fall. It could be when the little stone hits your windshield and the crack begins to spread. Because if the truth of the matter is that when somebody votes in 2024 for Dave Min, and maybe their ballot begins to turn ever so slightly purple, it will never be as red as it was before. It'll just keep going. We encourage candidates who are running for office at Vote Common Good to be exceptional candidates. What we mean by that is the kind of candidate that someone's willing to make an exception for. Where they would say something like, I would never vote for a Democrat, but I would vote for that Dave Min guy. So it's a real honor this evening to have the opportunity to introduce to you someone who is, I think, an exceptional candidate in all the senses of the word. The next congressman from California's 47th Congressional District, Dave Min.
Thank you guys for the kind introduction, and you guys are tough acts to follow. You've been doing this for a while. So I wanted to introduce myself, and I know many of you already. I actually go to church up the way at St. Andrew's Episcopal Church, where my wife Jane and I have been going since we moved out here to Irvine back in 2012. And actually at the time, Katie Porter used to go to our church as well for about 5-6 years before. I think she switched over somewhere else. My wife grew up a Catholic worker. I grew up mainline Protestant, and when we met, we started going to church in D.C., and at that point in time, the Episcopalian Church in DuPont Circle was known for having the bright, giant pride flag hanging over its doors, and I think for both of us, inclusion was a core value, and for me, the Catholic faith wasn't one I wanted to get involved with, just because while I respected a lot of what they stand for, it was not that aspect of allowing women priests and welcoming anyone to take communion was a very important value to me. And I think inclusion is a core part of my DNA and why I'm running. I mean, look, I'm the son of Korean immigrants. You've seen all the commercials, and I apologize to your kids and grandkids for interrupting their YouTube. I hear the complaint all the time, and no, we can't make them unskippable because we want to make people watch them. Growing up in this country, I grew up in a time and place here in California when there were not a lot of Asian Americans around. I was the only Korean kid, and back then no one knew what Korea was. It was like a far-off land, and so people would make fun of me, the foods that they associated with Korean culture, and I think that experience made me much more attuned and sensitive to marginalized communities. At the same time, I grew up knowing that this was the country my parents had chosen to come to because of the opportunities that it offered. And for me, growing up, I think love was a big part of what I always grew up thinking this country stood for. We didn't always model it well. Like, it wasn't always carried out in practice, and we know that there are shameful aspects of this country's history that don't reflect our best values. But we also know that throughout time, throughout certainly modern history in America, love has been a core part of what we've associated with the values of America. It's the values that have drawn so many people from all over the world to come here, right? That love, that idea of give me your poor, your tired, your huddled masses yearning to be free, that's what America's always been about, right? And to me, that was the part of America that I grew up loving and wanting to serve, and it's why I've spent my career in public service. It's why I've spent my career trying to uphold the rule of law, trying to teach about the law, because I believe in what this country's values are. They're very important values for me. Inclusion, diversity, embracing those who are different than us. And until recently, I feel like Irvine and Orange County really modeled that better than any community I can think of. I see some people here who are part of that interfaith community that was so vibrant here till recently. And when I describe my home city of Irvine to people who are not from here, I talk about how we have so many different people from different parts of the world with different faith backgrounds, different cultures who live here peacefully and not just coexist, but actually thrive together. I think we can say that Orange County is better because of the different cultural diversity that we have. And yes, we have better food, but I think that exchange also really helps us to become more empathetic, smarter, wiser, and better for those of us who are Christian, better Christians at the end of the day. And that idea of love, I think, is what's at stake in this election. We know there's a lot of issues on the ballot, and you guys described a lot of them: democracy, climate, guns. But to me, this is a bigger election than that, because it goes to what America stands for. Because for the first time, maybe the second time, because 2016, 2020 were about this too, but in 2024, the issue of love versus hate is really front and center on the ballot. Because as Doug described, we have a presidential candidate right now, an entire movement that is dedicated to demonizing those who are different than us, dedicated to othering and dehumanizing immigrants, whether they're Chinese immigrants, and this was the case in like 2020, or it is Haitian immigrants. we have seen that happen, and it's become part of the core ethos of the Republican Party right now, unfortunately. And that's what's at stake. The dehumanization of women and girls is at stake. And here in Orange County, we also see a particularly pernicious and really vile series of attacks against the LGBTQ community, right? Huntington Beach, Orange Unified School District, as soon as those majorities got elected, they went right after LGBTs with book bans, banning of the pride flag, trying to other those people. And I think that is front and center on the ballot because they've made it clear that's on the ballot, right? And for a lot of us in the America that they want to write, the America they want to implement, we don't have a place in it. We are not there. And that is why I think, and I just thought your sentiments before were beautiful, but to me, love is on the ballot. Inclusion, diversity, immigration, embracing those who are poor and tired and huddled masses yearning to be free, that's on the ballot. Embracing the basic rights of those who are different than us, the right to be who they want to be, the right to marry and love who they want to marry and love, the right to decide when they want to start families. Those are all on the ballot, and these are important core values to me, and that's why I'm running, because we cannot let this country be turned. And at the end of the day, I believe we're in a very historical moment. I think in 30 years, we're going to look back and say this was a very unique time. One of those times like World War II, or the Revolutionary War, or the Civil War. And we have a choice right now to make. I believe if we work hard, and I know you guys are out there busting your tails at stops that are very important, but if we as a community around this country work hard, those of us who believe in love, we can write the history books in a way that we have defeated hate and fascism and authoritarianism and everything else that we associate with the MAGA movement. We have an opportunity to vindicate Joe Biden and his decision to step aside and put him in the history books as the person that defeated, with a lot of our help, that defeated this slide to authoritarianism and hate, not just once, but twice. Once in 2020 when he defeated Donald Trump and everything he stands for, and then a second time in 2024 when he stepped aside and empowered us to be able to take up the mantle with a younger, more vibrant candidate. We have that opportunity. We cannot squander it. And so I believe in hope and faith, but I also believe in hard work. And we have a lot of work to do between now and November 5th. And you have an opportunity to be self-serving, I apologize, but you have an opportunity to help flip the House of Representatives. And that is important. You happen to live in a district where your vote really matters in an outsized way because this is seen as one of the most important races for control of Congress in the country. And as Hakeem Jeffries and Pete Aguilar have both said repeatedly, there is no pathway to winning back Congress that does not involve keeping this seat in Democratic hands. And so I hate to be talking partisan politics in a church. It's not part of my DNA, but there are really big issues on the ballot. So thank you for being here. Thanks for what you're doing, and thank you to, Katie was telling me what a great community you guys are and what a great show you guys put on, and it's really been something to watch. Thank you.
Oh, so great. One of the great things about traveling the country in that big orange bus is you get to meet such incredible people that just want to make the world a better place through service. And we're going to start wrapping things up with this song that we like to sing that reminds us that no one is free until we're all free. It goes like this. There's a world at war, caught in suffering, silent casualties. Oh God, grant us peace. In these sleepless nights, I can hardly breathe. Despite brutality, I know that we'll be free. I know that we'll be free. Let the light keep it shining. Let it break into the darkness. All that loves us to see, we'll all be free. Let the light keep it shining. Let it break into the darkness.
all that love is us to see, we'll all be free.
Now it's on. In desperate times, love will hold us here. Love will join our hands, teach us to. So we lay our hate down to walk the feet.
Yeah, just grab that up, Matt.
So we lay our hate down to wash their feet. 'Cause when we see our brother, oh, we'll all be free. Yes, we'll all be free. So let the light keep it shining. Let it break into the darkness. All the love there's us to see, we'll all be free. Let the light keep it shining. Let it break into the darkness. All the love there's us to see, we'll all be free. Let's do a little more church, shall we? I'm gonna sing "We'll Be Free." You sing it back. We'll be free, 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 free. We'll all be free. Yeah, we'll be free, 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 free. We'll all be free. Yeah, so we'll be free, 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 free. We'll all be free. Oh, we'll be free, free, free. Oh, we'll all be free. So let the light keep it shine. Let it break into the darkness. All the love there's us to see, we'll all be free. Let the light keep it shine. Let it break into the darkness. All the love there's us to see, we'll all be free. So tell your brother, tell your sister, or tell your father, tell your mother, tell yourself, tell everybody, we'll all be free. Yeah. Tell the lovers, tell the haters, tell the prisoners, tell the jailers, tell the world, tell everybody, we'll all be free. Yeah. Tell your father, tell your mother, tell your sister, tell your brother, tell the world, tell everybody, we'll all be free. Yes, and tell the lovers, tell the haters, tell the prisoners, tell the jailers, tell yourself, tell everybody, yeah, we'll all be free. Yes, we'll all be free. I said we'll be free, 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 free. We'll all be free. Yes, we'll be free, 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 free. We'll all be. One more time, say we'll be free, 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 free. We'll all be. Oh yes, we'll be free, free, free. We'll all be free. Beautiful.
Hey, our little event should have come with a content warning that you're going to be walking around tomorrow and Tuesday just going free, free. Well, it's going to happen, I promise you. It doesn't really happen on the bus. Hey, one final thing before we go. It's what I like to call our Harvey Milk moment, because we are here to recruit you. We want you on that bus with us. There's a number of ways you can get on the bus. One, you could go out and just put your name on the bus. We have people sign the bus. You'll see it when you go out there. There's names all over. You sign the bus. We'd even encourage you to sign it for a friend or family member that would like to be here and wasn't. Take a picture and send it to them. Send it to your friends and family. Let them know that you're on the Faith, Hope, and Love Supporting Democracy for All bus. But maybe you actually want to travel with us a little bit. Maybe you want to come along, or maybe you just want to take a tour. Maybe you'll just say, hey, all I want to do with you all is just get on the bus and look inside and see 12 bunks in there and how you live on a bus like that. We'd love for you to get on the bus and take a look at it. But maybe you want to come with us. On Tuesday, we're going to be in L.A. at Westwood United Methodist Church. We have a documentary that we made about a bike ride from San Diego, California to St. Augustine, Florida. We rode all along the United States-Mexico border and then all the way across the coast. And we made a documentary about what's really happening at the border that becomes a counterbalance to the message that are being shared, and it's just coming out, so we'd love for you to come and see that. There's another documentary we'll be showing that night, a short 27 minutes, produced by someone named Kristen Dumais. She has wrote the book Jesus and John Wayne, and she has a book called a documentary called For Our Daughters. So if you want to come and join us at 7 o'clock at that church, we'd love to have you. You can get back on the bus again. Or maybe that's not going to be enough for you. Maybe you're saying, you know what, on Tuesday, I think, or Wednesday morning, I think I want to go over to Phoenix with you. We're going to be running a rally over there for someone running for Congress. Or maybe you say next Saturday, I'd love to be in Oklahoma because someone's running for this one little important district in Oklahoma. We'd love for you to come to Oklahoma with us. Or maybe you say, I've never been to Minneapolis, but I'd love to be in the state of the good governor, and I'd love to meet the man and find out how come those people are so nice in the great state of Minnesota. And then maybe you want to head on over to Eau Claire, Wisconsin, where Rebecca Cook is running for Congress. Or maybe you want to swing by Green Bay, where Kristen Lyerly is running for Congress. Or maybe you want to go over to then off to Michigan, and you want to be in Grand Rapids, Michigan, where there's great candidates running. And then you're going to go to Lansing, Michigan. And then you're going to go to Pennsylvania. Then you're going to shoot with us down to Georgia. Then we're going to come back to Pennsylvania. And we're going to keep going. So if you want to do any of that, come along with us. We'd love to have you. Maybe you know somebody there. Maybe you're going to get your own car. You're going to jump on a vehicle with us. We have one bus now. We have another bus that's spending its time at HBCU universities and colleges, historically black colleges and universities in Texas. And it's going to join up with us. So we have two buses, and then your caravan. Or maybe you know some people. Spread the word. So come along with us in some way. Maybe you're following us on social media and telling other people about it. Or maybe you want to be in the tank with us. Because there are 4 things that get us around this country. You know 3 of them. Faith, hope, and love. The 4th, diesel. Diesel gets us around the country. So maybe you want to be in the tank with us. Maybe you want to make a contribution at the table back there with a check, or with a credit card, or with Venmo, or with a Cash App. Or we're in California, I guess I can make this joke, or just pay us with Bitcoin, or just skip the Bitcoin and bring the marijuana straight back to the table, and we'll skip the middleman on the Bitcoin deal. We know what Bitcoin's all about. Maybe you want to be about supporting what we're doing. Maybe you want to be with us on the road, but not on the road in the bus, because you say to yourself, somehow deep down, you care about the environment, and you just can't be in the tank with a big diesel pusher. I get it. So maybe you want to be on the road supporting our billboards that are going up in Phoenix, and in Eau Claire, and in Green Bay, and in Grand Rapids, and in Lansing, and in Harrisburg, and in Pennsylvania, or in Pittsburgh. Big billboards on the side of the road under our campaign called HisWordsMatter.com. On one side, a silhouette of one of the classic teachings of Jesus, turn the other cheek, and on the other side, the former president of the United States image, and his quote, I want to punch him in the face. Or, when I was a stranger, you welcomed me, and they're polluting the bloodstream of America, and on and on and on it goes. Because when a lot of people think that they're on the side of the teaching that they grew up with, but their vote is going to go for the man that says the other, they start to say, maybe his words matter. Maybe words are more than just words. Maybe they're promises. Maybe words make reality. Maybe you want to be part of those billboards. We're still raising $30,000 to make sure all those billboards are up. Now, if you want to take care of all that, we'll still tell other people to chime on in. Go ahead and take care of that cost. That'll be just fine. And we'll still invite other people to be a part of it. Those billboards go a long way. So maybe you want to be on the road with us like that. Or maybe you want to be on the road with us in your little town, in your little yard, in your street. So you pick up one of these faith, hope, and love, supporting democracy for all yard signs. You put it next to a David Min sign, and you send a message to your neighbors that faith, hope, and love and voting for a Democrat go together. It works like a charm, I promise you. Somebody might steal it, but they also might just ask you, can I have yours? As people in the room will tell us, their neighbors are asking them, can they have one of these signs? So if you think a neighbor wants one of these signs, pick one up at the back table. Or maybe you want to be in the mailbox with us. We have these postcards. Now look, you live in a great district. Maybe you're writing postcards for David Min. Maybe you're writing postcards for people running in California. But you also know that the presidential campaign matters. And you wonder what you could do in the states that are going to matter most, because we know that 5 states really matter in who's going to be the next president of the United States. Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Georgia, Arizona. Now, some other states are going to matter too if things don't go the way we think they're going to. But those 5 states matter. And in those 5 states, 9 counties are the 9 counties that matter. It's not even evenly distributed. We have these postcards that on the front say, as a person of faith, please join me in voting for love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, gentleness, self-control, and Harris Walls on Election Day. And then on the back, there's a place for you to write a little note that you want, and then an address, and you put the postage on there. In the back, we have little stacks of 15. The 15 addresses for people we know who are registered Republicans and faith voters in Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania. So you make a donation back there, you take those home, you write them out, you drop them in their mailbox, and we do this, we've been doing this for the last couple cycles. We know it works. You know how we know it works? Because people write to us on our website because they see it on the bottom, they say, how did you know? What is going on? Who are you people? Sometimes somebody's just sitting there thinking, I don't know. Then they see a billboard. Then they meet an exceptional candidate. Then they see a bus. Then they get a postcard. And they start to say, maybe it's okay. Maybe it's okay if I do that thing this time. Someone says, welcome home. So we've got some ways for you to be involved with us. We'd love you to take up on any of those. You could be in the tank. You could be on the road. You could come follow us. You could share the word. You could put up a billboard. You could take a yard sign. You could put out a postcard. If anybody's got a better idea, we'll come up with them. There's not an idea that we've met that we haven't liked. So just let us know what you think we should be doing, and we promise you we'd give it a chance at doing it. Because we think when you live in a time of major change and crisis, you don't do nothing, you do something. So if we all find our something, it's going to turn out all right. So thanks for being here tonight. If you'd consider making a donation back there, please feel free. If you want to just sign the bus or take a tour, please feel free to do that. And of all things, please know that faith, hope, and love holds us all. So thanks for being with us tonight, and we'll see you down the road.